welcome to ILFL Soccer Night. You've been joined by myself, Kamran Zaman, and Nanumi on my right and Rashid Ali on the left. It's your weekly dosage of local football from the Inner London Football League. We'll be talking about the Summer League, the Vets League, the upcoming awards ceremony, and the Winter League, amongst other things. Rashid, let's start with you. Summer League is almost over.
Well, yes, hopefully in the next week we've still got a couple of teams fighting for the championship. It's interesting in the fact that it's not been decided yet, so next week we should have concluded the championship. It's interesting with the results that happened yesterday, so depending on next week we should be able to actually name the champion itself. So it's come to an end, and hopefully we can name the champions. And if we can look at the results from yesterday, we can look at the fixtures and results and discuss further.
We'll come to the results in a minute, but Nanu, coming to you, it's one division this year, so really the excitement of having 2-3 divisions is not there. But how are you finding the league?
I'm finding the league just as exciting as any previous years. No, honestly, I mean, we've had 4 fixtures yesterday, and a lot of goals were scored. You know, a lot of very good goals as well. So
18 goals in 2 games.
18 goals in 2 games, 27 goals in total for those 4 fixtures. To be honest with you, I mean, there was slightly uneven balance last weekend anyway, so which is why we had so many goals, but usually you don't get that much of a gap. But anyway, I mean, okay, the quality might not be there because haven't had some of the old teams that we had playing previously, like Tigers, Absa, Tower Hamlets, and so on. But some of the teams have actually improved and shined in the absence of these big boys. You know, St. Catherine's is one of them, and just to appreciate how well they play. I mean, if you're a spectator and you watch them from the sidelines, you can't really appreciate how good they are. If you're a referee, it's still the same. You know, you see them play, they seem okay, but it's only when you play against them as a player on the field that you can appreciate how good they are, and my God, they are very good.
Well, St. Catherine's is one of the teams that we'll discuss more in detail later, but it's refreshing to see a lot of new teams coming in and just enjoying the league and the weather. The weather's really kept up its promise last few weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's been dry, and to be honest with you, I think this dry weather has been going on for a number of weeks now, and it's catching on. So I think people are like asking for rain now. So I mean, we complain when it rains and we complain when it's sunny. So what do you do? But anyway, I mean, for footballing, I think, and in summer in particular, I think the weather has been absolutely fantastic. It's been really great. You know, I mean, people come round, people getting the kids and the families to come and watch the football, and it's been great.
I think, just to touch on that, I think what I've seen interesting about the Summer League is teams like Walthamstow Red Star or AMY or Boundary, they've actually taken advantage of the Summer League itself because they've been able to build in more players and give more youngsters the opportunity. And I think their performance has improved within the last couple of years. I think they're taking full advantage, and that's what it is. Summer League is not for the big boys to come in and win it. It's for people to try out do trials for different players. Give the youngsters a chance to come to the team, and give the players that normally don't get a chance in the winter, which is the bread and butter of the club. Summer is to give opportunities, and I think a lot of teams have been quite successful, and I think the feedback generally is this is a good opportunity. It's finished within 7-8 weeks, within 2 months. I think, and it's a good idea, good concept. I think some teams have taken advantage, and it's worked out for them.
It has. I mean, I've noticed this as well. I mean, teams like Walthamstow, they've been trying out new players. Some of the players are like really, really good. And in the normal Winters League, the managers wouldn't exactly risk putting those players up front because, you know, it's up for stake. It's too risky to do that. You know, they'll try them out, but every now and then they might give them at least 5 or 10 minutes at the end if they're winning by a big margin. But during the Summer League, they don't necessarily, you know, have to worry about all of this.
Well, this is one of the benefits of playing in the Summer League, really, because it's not your traditional 3-4 month league. It's, you know, short weeks, and rather than play friendly every week, you put a team in the Summer League and you try out different players and give the youngsters run around. So ideal, really, for all scenarios. Okay, well, if we go through the results of yesterday, if you have a look at the screen, we've got all the results there for you. Okay, so we've had. Okay, seem to have a bit of a technical issue there. Okay, I'll just run through the results anyway. The results were as follows: Ace 9, Italian 3, Arsenal 2, Hawk and Eagle FC 3, Boundary 0, Walthamstow Red Star 1, Hawk and Eagle 0, and St. Catherine's 9. Now, oh, there you go. You've got the results on the screen. We touched on the two big scores there, Ace and St Catherine's. I think the St Catherine's one for Hawk and Eagle is a bit misleading because it was their second game and a lot of the players after the first game left. But the two contenders really we'll see in a little while are Ace and St Catherine's, and both banging in a lot of goals, Rash.
Yeah, I think, yes, I know Hawk and Eagle played a doubleheader, two games, obviously catching up on the league itself. And I think, yes, the fact that they already played the first game in the morning and to play against St Catherine's, who were fresh, who were strong, who were fast, athletic, even if I think Hawk and Eagle had a full squad team, or would have struggled because they meant business. Right from the go, you can see the energy, the passion, the drive, because being in the driving seat, having played for a few weeks, they look like, they look like champions, to be honest. I think for them, it was a must right from the minute go. They didn't wait, I think within 10 minutes they were 2-0 up, etc., and Hawk and Eagle were struggling. So for me, St Catherine's are looking very, very sharp, very, very strong, very, very focused, very, very determined. And I think they wanted to prove something that by they're not going to let this slip through the fingers, so to speak.
Yeah, I think yesterday was probably a very good opportunity for them to showcase some of the talents. Some of the players that were injured early on the season have actually come back, and they've had a fantastic comeback as well. Some of them scoring some really, really good goals, and the way they played, you can't just see that they've been off. It seems like they've been playing all along. So that's a major boost for them. Those players coming back and banging those goals in. I mean, St Catherine's are most probably bubbling with confidence now, and I see them going very far this summer.
Yeah. Because the same could be said about Ace. I watched that game. I watched that full game against the Italian FC. I thought that would be a tougher game for them because the Italian FC in the recent weeks have done really well. They've, in the last two, especially last 2 weeks when they played against Walthamstow Red Star, Hawk and Eagle, etc. But unfortunately, they came across Ace, who I think, knowing the fact that the championship is within the grasp, they upped their game. They look different class altogether. They totally dominate possession, totally control the game, boss the game around, and use their physical presence to their advantage because Italian FC, as we know, are not the biggest or the tallest, whereas Ace have got a few players who are physically strong, athletic.
Yeah, they are.
They for me, bullied Italian boys, and they couldn't get a foothold. And once they got a four goals lead, they took their foot off the gas, and then relaxed mode play. And I think Italians struggled. I think for Italian, you see, obviously first season, first time playing together. Credit to them, but I think they came across a team in form at the wrong time, and in reverse way you can look at Ace, say, what, there's a chance for us for the championship, we're not going to let you go. So both St Catherine's and Ace looking very strong, footballing wise, physically wise, and drive wise. I think they're looking up.
Well, let's have a look at the league table and we can discuss more the positions where teams stand. If you take a look at your screen, you can see the Summer League table there. We can see Robin Hood sitting nice and pretty at the top with 18 points. In fact, Robin Hood are one of 4 teams that have already played their games and finished. But it's the 2 teams that are to follow that are really interesting, with St Catherine's and Ace playing 7 games each and sitting equally on 16 points. Do you think it might come to goal difference, Rash?
I don't think it will come down to, because they play each other next week, and obviously that advantage will be there, whoever wins. So it's a nice way to wrap up the Summer League itself.
A draw's not out of the question though, Rash, is it?
Draw's not out of the question, yes, but I don't see a draw. To be honest, I can't see a draw next week when they play each other. I can see it's going to be very tight. I think they're 1 or 2 goals because they're both defensive are quite good, both very strong. But obviously for me, whoever wins the game will be in an advantage position. I can't see a draw because they're a very strong side.
No, St Catherine's is the same team that we've seen in the winter and the summer over the past few years. They started in the Prem, came down to the first, went down to the second. What's different this year that they've brought to the game in the Summer League?
Okay, to start with, there's no 2 teams, there's 1 team. So the players are combined. Okay, they've got a very good management structure now, which they lacked in previous seasons. You had one manager, Motin, who was struggling to manage both of the teams, and they've had managers come and go. I managed the B team one season as well, and it was absolutely tough, And now they've got a permanent manager. He works very hard. He's very committed. and there's abundance of players as well. And previously, both of the teams, they went for this rotation policy of players, and a lot of players couldn't, find their feet in the team. But now, because they're using the same players week in, week out, those players are very confident, and they prove to themselves they fought for their place and they've won it. So, good management structure, good experienced players. Players know what they're doing. They come in and they play football, and that's the difference this season.
I think you've added a few new players in the winter who continue to progress in the summer as well, and I think they've been good additions, especially the striker who is absolutely lethal, strong, very strong, very fast, very technical.
Two big differences they've had in the team this year are their new striker, but also their old striker called Ginger, who's been dropped to midfield. He seems to be flourishing in that role and winning. I mean, he won everything on Sunday that there was to win.
Yeah, I think those three additions in the winter I saw was a huge difference between previous years, because these 2-3 key players, if they're in every week and they're performing, and when I saw them playing, he's really, that striker is really, the shot he has, the power, the pace, the dribble ability, he's a very good addition. I think that's helped them, propelled from what they were before. And obviously he's got a very big pool of players, and I think that's another advantage now. And as you said, combining both teams to one has been quite a successful recipe. So hopefully, he can carry on further in the next season and the season to come.
Well, we've got the top 3 teams there. What about the new teams that have come in? Walthamstow, Red Star, MOI, Boundary. Arsenal's been there one season before, but those 3 teams in particular, I think they've been a breath of fresh air, really,
Walthamstow Red Star did say, even before the Summer League started, obviously they played in the winter for the first time, and they said, look, let's try out the summer. It's purely to give the youngsters a chance, try and mix players. It's a massive organisation, and they don't have opportunities to play, so this was an opportunity for a lot of players to try out and play. And they thought they're one of the teams that the feedback was they actually enjoyed the summer because of the short time period they play for 8-9 weeks. It gives opportunity, and in the summer times you can try out. Similar to AMY, the ethos was let's play, enjoy, and give new trials to players. So from my point of view, they weren't really in the title challenge, they were in for the experience itself. So I think next year you might see a different motivation and target itself.
Well, if you take a look at the screen once again, we've got the fixtures for Sunday 21st come in. We've got Arsenal playing Ace, and we've got St Catherine's playing Ace, so really Ace have their work cut out, and then we've got Walthamstow Red Star versus Hawk and Eagle. I think obviously the standout game there is St Catherine's Ace.
It is the first.
How will Ace cope with playing their second game against possibly the favourites?
I think with Ace, it's a big squad. Hassan, the manager, has been around. He's managed a team for over 10 years now. I think he's got experience. He's got a big enough squad. And the players he has, I think they've got the ability to play 2 games. It's not a 90-minute game, it's a 70-minute game, so I think they'll be able to play. And he does play a lot of tournaments where they play more than 90 minutes. So for me, I don't think he'll use it as an excuse, it's 2 games, because teams like Ace, a relatively big club, have been around, got the experience, and play tournaments. When you play tournaments, you don't play 1 game 90 minutes, you play more than that, you play 2-3 hours. So I don't think that will be an issue. I think being the first game in St Catherine's, that would be a clash. You might take 1 or 2 players drain, but I think he'll feel confident if he can get a result with St Catherine's when he plays in the afternoon Arsenal. Then obviously it'll depend on draw will be sufficient. So his tactics may change, I think. But being the first game against St Catherine's, I think that will be interesting because both are playing each other first time, and it won't be like one team's tired. They won't have an advantage. I think the Arsenal may feel like an advantage playing against Ace, who already played in the morning. So it should be a cracking game. Obviously, as I said, whoever wins that game will be in a good position, be in joints in points. This will give the 3 points advantage, and where I look at Ace will just sit back and defend, get the 1 point they require.
That's the grand finale, really. Let's put you guys on the spot. So now St Catherine's versus Ace. What are your predictions?
It's a very, very tough call because both of the teams have got a big enough squad. They're both bubbling with confidence. They don't take any chances. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, when Ace played Italian, they were already winning by 4 or 5 goals after half time. But after half time, they put in some stronger players to finish off the job because they don't want to risk anything. But they know it's on the cards. So they're not going to give up. St Catherine's, they're very strong teams. They've been building up to this for a long time now, and they want to continue this success. So they're another team that isn't going to back off. So, like I said, it's going to be a very decisive game, and there's going to be a lot of spectators. I know I've tried ever so hard to avoid that, and I knew that you remind me of this. Okay, it's a very tough call. Okay, I would say that it may end up with a draw.
Okay, Rash?
I've seen both yesterday, and I think St. Catherine's probably have the advantage of a bit more pace, but Ace, I think, you got more physical ability in their teams in terms of strength-wise. Players like Charles or Boldy. I saw Sadiq play yesterday in the afternoon, was dominating. So I think Ace might just narrow it if I have to decide. I would think it will be tough, but I would say 2-1 to Ace for me.
Well, that's a bold statement there, Rash.
Yeah.
So we shall see on Sunday. Arsenal versus Ace, St. Catherine's versus Ace, Walthamstow Red Star versus Hawk and Eagle. Hawk and Eagle haven't really had a good season. It's the second season in a row.
But I think for their standard, it's a very poor season, to be honest. I know, yes, the second game was a big result because they already played one game, a few players left. But saying that, if you look at previous weeks, once they played against Italian, they lost 5-0. Against other teams, they're struggling. I know they won the first game, but the feedback I got, Arsenal had a hatful of chances and should have finished off here, Hawk and Eagle, not rely on the 2 goals they scored in the last 5 minutes, which we saw. But I think for a club like that, who I think probably in the recent years was very successful, very strong, were making a name for themselves. But in the last in the summer and end of the winter, they've been struggling. Unless a lot of players are not there, or for whatever reason, they need to obviously come next month when they start the new season. They need to regroup, re-energize.
I think it's a case of rebuilding really now,
yeah.
Hawk and Eagle, absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's take a final look at the league table before we go for a break. And as things stand, Robin Hood Tigers are sitting at the top, but St. Catherine's and Ace have 2 games in hand. That crucial decider on Sunday between St. Catherine's and Ace will decide who tops the group or really who doesn't. And I think that the rest will probably finish as they are. I can't see much movement other than maybe Hawk and Eagle and Arsenal reversing depending on the results. Everything else, I mean, Italian have finished their games. I think Fish Island, that game might be, be a forfeit or a split between 2 teams really. Yeah. So, last final comments, gents, before we go to a break.
Well, hopefully next Sunday we have a cracking match between St. Catherine's and Ace and finish off the season on a high. For me, I think that would be a nice way to end the summer league itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's quite intriguing to see that some of the teams that actually give up quite easily. All habits die hard. The Arsenal loss against Hawk and Eagle over the weekend is just an example of a team that we know that have a very good start in the beginning, and then at the end they just lose it. I mean, they kind of give up and then they lose. So some teams, if you don't make any changes, then then there's no point.
Great, Jez. We'll come back to you soon. Let's take a short break and we'll be back for the second segment soon.